Yeah.
But that's what I think the point we're trying to make is that there is a middle rap out there. You just have to look for it.
And there's a middle ground. And there is a money bitches. Whatever.
Yeah, it's so saturated with that though. Sometimes it gets hard to like sift through that and know.
Interesting.
It is, and it's a lot to listen to when you don't want that. I think for a lot of men, we kind of like put ourselves in their shoes. And we're like, yeah, I'm that guy. Like, it gives you confidence.
Yeah, I can't do that 24/7.
When you're working out and like when you're just going to work. Like, as a man, it just gives you confidence sometimes. And I think that when you can't step into the artist's shoes, which might be harder for you guys, it can get kind of like exhausting. Maybe I'm wrong. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But is that it? Like, is there a non-relatability?
It's not hard for me to relate because, it's not hard for me to relate. Okay. But I think it can be a little bit overwhelming, like in terms of me, because I really like listening to like 42, TJX6, and like it is like scam music, and sometimes you're like, shit, this shit is just not like good for me to be listening to, like Tuesday morning at 8:00 in the morning, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I will say with female rappers, I do feel more. I don't want to say an affinity, but more of a connection, like, because it's women and sexuality and like owning and empowerment. And I connect with that more, but I wouldn't say I can't connect to male rappers.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the nature of like, who they are, what they're writing about. And, I'm a woman. So, of course, if they're talking about bitches, I'm going to feel like they're talking to me. And I'm like, okay.
I don't feel that way, though. And
I do, and I don't know why.
I don't think all women feel that way. Like, I feel like, because not all women are bitches. So
are you of the narrative that there's like a woman and bitches delineation, like separation?
Some men are bitches too.
That's what I'm trying
to say. But that's not what they're talking about. Now that's not what they're talking about in the song, though.
But not necessarily, though. Like, I feel like, I guess that's true. Like, there is definitely still misogyny that is alive and well in hip hop.
Oh, yeah.
But I think also too, like, I don't know. I just think of it like people with like a punk ass attitude, I don't know. That's me though.
I love the punk ass.
It's a mindset thing.
I think it's also like the people who can't stand the N-word. They think that like when they say the N-word in raps, they're talking about like their own kind, whereas like some people view it as just like person.
It's just person.
Yeah, like those people. It's
like, basically a pronoun.
I feel like that's the similar way you guys are looking at the B word.
Nah, I look at B word like definitely as like women.
Right, but I'm saying you kind of separate it. Right?
And that's why I'm like so gung-ho about female rap, because then I'm like, I'm stepping myself into her shoes.
But then like the other side of that, female rappers they're like, I'm better than this bitch, da-da-da-da-da. So what's the difference? You know what I mean? Like, it's the same train of thought if you're thinking in that wheelhouse.
What's the difference between me saying I'm better than this bitch and a man saying I'm better than...
What's the difference?
I got all these bitches, and then I'm like, okay, now I feel like I'm the bitch he's talking about.
This
instead
of
I'm the
don't
bitch talking about...
I don't think that's a difference. Like, I feel like it's just as demeaning. If anything, more demeaning coming from a woman.
Really?
Because I don't want to say from a man it's expected. I don't want to say it's expected, because that's like... I don't want to... Yeah, it's not expected, but I feel like with women... I feel like the narrative should be more positive.
This is turning into a culture to culture conversation.
I think this is a great conversation to have, though. Yeah. But I think that what you're saying is, because if I'm not wrong,
I'm hearing you correctly.
I'm hearing you correctly. You're saying that as a woman, there's like a more understanding you have of another woman's experience, so there should be more of a
grace
or empathy when referring to other women. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. I feel like it's...
But men do the same thing.
But I think she's saying because men aren't shit, it's like you don't expect them to even...
I'm expecting them to be like bitches and hoes and da-da-da-da.
Right.
When a woman says it, yes, I'm expecting it in female rap, because that also is a part of the nature of female rap and female hip-hop. However, it's the same thing.
It's almost as if they're pandering to men a bit.
It's contributing to misogyny.
Of course they are, but they're doing it to make money, so I support that. Because they're reclaiming that.
But
I'm not explaining myself well.
You can also make money just talking about,
Can you?
Because, like, what harm does it do when women talk about, like, I don't know, I'm still this bitch man. Like, it doesn't really do anything as much as, like, when a man is like, I got all these hoes, I got all these bitches.
But what happens when a man says, I have all these hoes, I have all these bitches?
Literally, you end up with people like Future, who have a bunch of bitches, like, literally.
I see your point.
Like, women are actually doing that, really. We just talking about it.
I think...
I was just going to say, I mean, none of those women that Future's involved with were held against their will.
Yeah, but they're literally like kind of indoctrinated into this kind of misogynistic role because they know who Future is, they know what they're getting into, and they feel like they want to be a part of that lifestyle. And it's not really because they want to, but because they want to be a part of his lifestyle. How do we know that? You know what I mean?
How do we know that?
I'm sure they don't want to be one of many bitches.
Well, I understand, but like, you know, he has 6 babies or baby mamas like before you get with him. No, like isn't that like we never met the guy. I step myself
into these women's shoes. I'm not gonna do it, but it's kind of like playing into that misogynistic idea for the thought that you might benefit from it, or you might be different. I don't know.
You think that he's luring each one on?
In a way? I don't know.
I think there has to be a degree of that.
Lure someone on. Like, how does that work?
Right. Like, I feel I get it. He's a scumbag, but I just think because it's so widely known that he's a scumbag that you kind of know.
Yeah, big cat money, clout. I mean, if you want a piece of that, you're gonna be a part of whatever he got going on.
Right.
And I think you have to take into account for not everybody cares that like he has 6 kids. Not everybody cares. Like some people are like, okay, I'm gonna trap Future. Like that's the goal here. You know what I mean?
Trap
like I'm
the
just
trapper.
Exactly. So like I think you have to think of it from that point of view too, because he's not, messing around with girls who are, I don't know.
I think
with feet bigger than his.
He did say that. That was messed up. But I think I get what you're saying. We have to be careful not to remove a woman's like autonomy in the situation.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think we need to keep in mind that she's grown, she can do whatever she wants. So at a certain point you need to ask yourself, like, you know what you're getting into when you mess with Future. Like, I don't think the music or anything contributes to it. I think it's just how certain people are. Some guys are like that, whether there's going to be rap like that or not. Some guys aren't. There's always going to be Futures and Russells split on the earth. You're never going to have all Futures and
Xaviers
all
and
Russells.
Maxes.
What?
Xaviers and Maxes.
Wait, so which one's Future? Which one's Russell?
I'm the nice man.
Okay, listen.
Why are you doing this to me? Do I want to know?
I'm not like Future at all. But people think I am sometimes. But like,
what are you doing to make people think that, Xavier?
It's the music I listen to.
I don't like the way you're laughing. It's like confirming the shit.
No, let's just be clear. No baby mamas. I have no baby mamas. No. And I just want to say this too. My whole life I've been compared to Russell Wilson, right? Like aesthetically. So I worked my hardest to fight that. And so sometimes
you fight those demons.
And so sometimes I may overcompensate.
Xavier's the perfect blend of both these archetypes.
Shut up. Sometimes I play into it. Man. I don't say the B word. I don't call anyone that. I don't do this or that. But I definitely have a
Percocet addiction.
No, I'm not. I'm not addicted to any drugs at all.
Why is he trying to air out some fake dirty?
I do not know. He's taking an opportunity to kill me. I don't know why. But I'm just saying, I think I root on Future's behavior sometimes, and only because
you're trying to balance out.
I'm trying to balance out the Russell in me.
What makes you think Future doesn't do the same thing?
What do you mean?
With the women that he's courting.
What do you mean do the same thing?
Like, you don't know if he has like some sort of nice guy image that he puts on for these women that he's trying to bring in, and then he rips off the mask and he's like toxic nigga.
Well, his public persona is just so established.
Yeah, we know how Future is in the media. To us, we don't personally know Future though. Those could be 2 different people.
I mean, I did tell you he has to be on the podcast.
Shut up.
He emailed me.
Okay, like
y'all have him on the podcast.
Should we have him? I
have some questions.
I
guess I'll email back.
I do think part of it is an act. It is an act.
It is an act. It is an act.
It's profitable.
Yes.
It's what has sustained his career.
Yes, definitely.
However, though, I think you eat the fruits of your lips is what they say. Like, I feel like the shit that he's talking about is the shit that he's done, or
of course
maybe that's even manifested reversely. And I think, to your point, Zaria, about him having like a mask, like a nice guy, of course every guy does. Like, that's the first 3 weeks of dating somebody, you know what I mean? Like,
why are you looking at me?
You're getting the representative, not the real person, you know what I mean?
Yes,
I agree. It's definitely a front. Like, he even admitted like he wasn't drinking lean and doing drugs while he was rapping about it. Like, it's a front. We know this man can put on a heavy front that is believable.
Right. Okay. So, you know what? I will say this. There are some... Future has some accountability, and his baby mamas have some accountability.
Absolutely.
I think both are grown people, and they make decisions, right?
I think either way, he went 56 nights crazy.
That's okay. Yeah, they might not get that, but we listen to a lot of Future, is what he's saying.
My fault.
But I get why it can be hard to listen to, and I get why it can be like too misogynistic.
Oh,
sometimes.
I still enjoy Future, by the way.
So then, what are we even talking about? What was this all for?
Talk about morality.
But also, though,
it's all coming in place. My plan.
Baby, I'm sorry.
Back to accountability, though, is it really equal? Because Future has the upper hand. Like, as much as we want to say, like, oh, it's two people, like, he has.
That's what I'm saying when I say he has clout, he has money.
Yeah, but also too, like, you have the option to say if you want to play into that. Like, it's not equal, but like, you just, I guess it's like.
You don't have to go in the Rari. You don't have to go in the whip. There's a nigga with an Acura across the street.
Okay,
and he has a podcast.
I'm
saying that Acura, we hear it so much all the time that some women like, kind of even to no fault of their own, they just kind of like are brainwashed into filling that role.
I agree, it's to no fault of their own partially, but why do you think that?
Because it's something we hear since we're like, I don't know, little girls. So people just kind of expect, well, this is how a man's going to treat me. That's how he's supposed to treat me.
Also, traditionally, women weren't allowed to work. So it's like, it's generations of, having to rely on a man.
Yeah.
And so that you can't break that mindset out in like 50, 70
years. It is hard.
Yeah.
And Future plays into that with the women he chooses to be.
But, I mean, at a certain point, it's like the women he chooses they've been around rich guys. Mm-hmm. Like Future's not he's not like taking homeless women off the streets.
Absolutely.
And flashing like, Benjis in their face.
Just because you have been around rich people doesn't mean you have a like rich mindset.
But I'm saying though, it's like they're used to the power and like they know what's up. I don't think he's pulling a trick on them because like a lot of people have been to the rodeo before.
Yeah, he might not even be the first man that takes advantage of them. Probably not.
But that's what I'm saying. Is he taking advantage of them? Is he really? I don't know. Are they taking advantage of him?
Would you do what he do?
No.
Poor Future.
I'm just saying he has. I'm not saying poor him at all, but
I know.
I'm just saying, like, do you think every woman that has had a baby with him has genuinely said, "This is the love of my life, and I want to have a child"?
One of his the mothers just asked for like $52,000 a month.
They're trying to trap him.
Yeah, and
that's what I'm trying to say.
He got the judge to go down to $3,000 a month.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, how do we know he's the one taking advantage of them all the time?
I don't think it's taking advantage. I think, like you said, they both know what's up, and I think also too, these girls know what type of life they want to live. And they know, okay, if I don't have any talent, I can't strip forever. I can't do this forever.
If I suck.
Let me find someone. You said what?
Never mind.
Being a baby mama is actually like a career. That's like,
and some people choose that. Mm-hmm. So you got to think about that.
The $52,000. She was trying to get the bag.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Future's not taking. He's fulfilling their fantasy. Then
I don't think every woman is like that though.
I don't know if that's a fantasy.
But you just said some people want to be baby mamas.
Yeah, some people. I don't think all of his baby mamas were like that.
I'm not defending Future, but I think that he gets a little worse rep because of his fans.
Oh, his fans suck.
His fans are the worst. But I think
not us.
I also think that if you really look into it and you really look into the relationships that he's fostered with his baby mamas, I feel like he doesn't deserve all the blame.
Is there an example you're thinking of?
Well, what Max was saying, $52,000 a month in child support is a little.
I was just pointing out a fact.
Is it when you're worth millions though? Like it is egregious, but like.
But that's child support. That's not alimony. They were never married.
Yeah.
That's purely to take care of a child.
But she got nothing before that, right? Like
I don't know.
$0.
That's trifling. You're right.
He paid nothing.
That's trifling. He should have known better.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, he's probably not the best dad. I mean,
he's not the best. But like, there's a middle ground.
You know what happened to
his
first son?
When you have 8 children with a ton of different mothers.
I'm not gonna say anything, but yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, wrap it up, Future.
I don't even know how
literally.
I don't even know how we got to this point.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
We were talking about rap, hip hop, or something.
Oh yeah.
Let's move on.
But yeah, I don't know if we'll ever come to a consensus on this topic, but we can just say that both parties have some responsibility. What else did I talk to you about when we were talking on the phone about the show? Didn't you say about some topics?
Yes, I know we said something about talking about whether or not R&B is dying.
Oh yeah. I personally, well, you can tell me what you think first. I don't want to take over the show.
Ooh, I have to think a little bit. I don't think I wrote notes for this one. I was gonna go off the fly. Yeah, go ahead.
No, is a short answer, and I'll tell you why. For me, I think this quarantine has actually been a really rich time for R&B. Summer dropped, Kehlani dropped, Victoria Monet dropped. So I feel like we have a lot of versatility, and those are some of my favorites. However, I think R&B is evolving, and like kind of we touched on earlier with that trap sound, that it's not, it's not about vocals, and it's not about arrangements. It's about like a tune and like having a vibe. So I think that's different. And I don't know if like the original R&B vibe will ever be like back, but I think that is dying. Like when Brandy and Monica had that verses, I was like, shit, people don't make anything like this anymore.
How does that differ from like what we get from pop and like trap though? Because those both offer like a vibe too.
Well, I think that's just virtue of black music becoming the number one. So everything in the mainstream is gonna sound like that. The same reason pop is rap now. Drake.
And that's why the lines are so blurred, and it's really hard to identify what even is R&B anymore.
True. Yeah, I think that I don't think it's dying, but I think that no one's lying anymore. Like, I think back in the day you would have people lying on tracks because we were listening to like New Edition came out in the car, and it's like you won't really hear guys saying corny, cheesy things anymore. You won't hear girls like
that's guys lying to you. They're lying.
I think they were being much more honest back then than they are right now.
That's real interesting. Yeah, and New Edition as the example.
You can. There are some men that will do that. Yes, I agree. But I think that a lot of the time, it can be pandering. That's what I meant to say. Not lying, but playing into the whole what they want to hear. And both genders do that.
Yeah.
Like, the reason you won't hear Brandy Monica music, well, Monica was kind of toxic, but the reason you don't hear like Brandy music anymore is because like no one wants to cater to niggas anymore, rightfully so. But on the same side, you're gonna have men are also gonna be a little more toxic in their R&B too.
I really think that's just a response of what's happening in trap though, because they're so linked.
Yeah, I think
I don't think that's a response of what's happening in trap. I think that's like our generation.
That's just life.
Like how it's evolved, and I think like the standard. What?
The way Xavier said that's life made me think of it.
No, but I feel like now, like when you see like women becoming more empowered, like you said, like not catering to men, and men really dropping the ball on a lot and just saying whatever and being toxic.
And look at him when you're saying this too.
Oh really? Yeah. You got some things we don't know about?
I don't know.
He's got some kids we don't know about. But anyway, carry on.
I don't.
I miss those. I miss when like I'm personally like I grew up on like 112 and Jagged Edge and Jodeci. Like I'm like nigga sing for me. Like that's the shit I want to hear. You know what I mean? Like
Devontae Swing as Baby Mama was chilly. He wasn't perfect. Like
And I guess that's what it's really about when you say they're being more honest.
That's what I'm saying. It's not our generation. I'm not okay. I shouldn't say this.
Because if it was our generation, it would be like that in pop too. But we still get the "I love you, baby."
Right. That's what I'm saying. People are more honest now. Like I'm not gonna say my dad or anyone was there, but like people's parents went to Freaknik. Yeah. Like they were
twerking. They was throwing booty.
I was saying people just were hiding it. They were concealing it. And now with the internet, you can be more honest about that lifestyle, and it's more widely accepted.
I think that also, again, people nowadays are just more transparent and more authentic.
Yes.
And I think back then the social standard was to put up a facade
and
act like you're doing this and act like you're doing that and not be so forthcoming about your dirt or, things that aren't so, right. So
the consequences for being a hoe as a woman were much steeper back then.
Now it's the standard.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's accepted.
The norm. It's the norm.
Is it the norm or is it just accepted?
I think it's the norm.
I think it's the standard.
It's not any of our place to say that hoeing is standard.
Yeah,
but I will say I've seen an increase. But I will say
we're tracking these numbers.
I will say
I think the whole aesthetic is probably increasing more than people actually hoeing.
I think people wouldn't do things they don't want to do. I think people are doing what they want, and we should just be happy for them whether we agree with it or not, right? Because is it really our generation's problem if people have more autonomy and more freedom? Is it really a problem then?
You go.
It's not a problem until you're stepping on other people's pursuit of happiness or their situation and really being toxic and messing up other people's lives. And I think that's what kind of is coming out of this new I'm gonna do what I want kind of culture. And about R&B, I think it is kind of turning into something.
Sorry, this man's yawning because he is so faithful and he's been dating the same woman forever. So I'm just
bring that up every episode.
Okay, but anyway, yes, new culture. You're saying,
but I think it is kind of morphing into something that's not even like about the music anymore, but it's just about the vibe. It's just about what you feel when you listen to it, not so much about like who it is, who it's from, what it sound like. Like R&B is so nebulous now that so many things can fit into it. Like how is Ariana Grande and like Party Next Door both R&B considered now?